Hello guys, and welcome back, yes, back to Supreme Ruler 2030, the beta. If you haven't already seen my first look into this playtest of Supreme Ruler 2030, I urge you to check out the playlists at the top right in the cards or in the description, where I look at the game in its current state and compare it to Galactic Ruler and Supreme Ruler Ultimate. For today though, I want to cover a topic that has mostly just been hinted out, somewhat explained by BattleGo, but I wanted to go into it a little further, and that would be the campaign system that's in this game. There are 4 campaigns that start out. 2 of them right now just don't have briefings, but the other 2 do. I'm going to explain to you what these are and generally what you'll have to do in them. I've done a little bit of testing in all 4 of them to kind of see what happens. So let's go from top left in order. We're going to start out with Germany here. So Germany has its own campaign. It's also known, as you can see through the pop-up, the EU campaign. And with the first objective here, you kind of get a good idea of where this is going. NATO has fallen apart. It no longer exists, splintered into pieces. Everyone is now free of their alliances, and you will play as Germany. Your goal as Germany is to make alliances with everyone in Europe and piece them together. I don't personally know how well this campaign is going to work, as they have not currently, in this version, added any sort of alliance system. So this new European alliance is mostly going to be everyone becoming allies with Germany. It'll be more of an interconnected array of alliances, kind of like the diplomacy that was seen leading up to World War I, rather than an organization, such as the United Nations in World War II, now known as the Allies. And of course, nothing like real-life NATO. You get given an initial objective to make alliances specifically with France, Italy, Poland, Hungary, Romania, and it goes from there. You get an intelligence briefing saying tensions have not been great in Europe, or the rest of the world for that matter, since the height of the Cold War. Unfortunately, Russia now has both the economic resources that it did not enjoy at the time, and the security of a strong alliance on its border with China. We must be prepared to fight, and hopefully, any conflict will be limited to conventional weaponry. That kind of sets the stage as well. Clearly, you are building up. I won't spoil too much of the objectives that come after, but Russia is the big bad. War with Ukraine, guess it just didn't happen in this scenario. And simply forming a new European alliance to take on the mighty Russia, not the real life, oh, we learned they can't even fight Ukraine Russia. No, the mighty Russia. I did some testing in this game, and yeah, they're still just about as mighty as they were in the 2020. This is still a fictionally powerful Russia that you will be placed up against, rather than the one that we all know in real life now. Now to take you into the next campaign, the Russia campaign, or as it says here, the USSR campaign. It says this for a reason. Let's look at the briefing. The USSR's influence on the world has been created by a mix of economic and military aid, along with a generous helping of intimidation. Their vast territory holds a number of economic treasures, but the challenge to properly develop them is immense. If we start up the campaign here, we'll see the West has tried to control and humiliate Russia for too long. We must bring breakaway regions and ethnic enclaves back under our control, and we can then show the world the power that a unified Russia is capable of. Our former Soviet satellite states included Ukraine, Georgia, Belarus, Uzbekistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. Eventually, they should all be returned to our control. So this is, as many played Russia in prior games, a reunify the USSR campaign. And yes, you will once again be controlling here a fictionally strong Russia. This is not the real-life Russia that can't even push to Kiev, even lacking any big Western aid up to that point. No, this is a Russia that could probably overrun Ukraine in a second. It is a Russia that starts out with the North Caucasus having broken away from them. The game represents this as a flavor dialogue, as this is Chechnya breaking away from you, and this is one of your first orders of business if you choose to take care of this first. One of the things that you will need to unify, as well as the former Soviet states. You start out with a funny little border situation, owning Crimea, but not Ukraine, and not North Caucasus, so that's quite interesting. Your goal is to reunify the USSR, and BattleGoat has painted the whole campaign as being a Russia or USSR versus all of NATO. type deal. I have not played that far into the campaign. The campaigns are not completely finished. Not all the events are properly in place yet at the time of recording this playtest. As a reminder, if you haven't seen my previous video, this is a testing playtest. This is not a open or closed beta type of playable finished product. So yeah, I can't go through all the campaigns fully. However, that is what it is shown to be at the beginning, and that is what it is described as being by the developers in the later half of it. Now let me show you the next campaign, America's campaign, which is the other one with a briefing. The United States has emerged from World War II with the strongest economy in the world and a better sense of its international roles and responsibilities. Yet there is also a tendency to let prejudices and anti-communist paranoia color both domestic and international policies. To start them up, welcome to the USA campaign. Let's see what it says first. Here we go. South Korea is a long-term ally and stable democracy in Asia. We cannot let them fall to North Korean forces. We also cannot avoid to go to war with China. A lot of this text will hopefully be improved. The alliances aren't in place yet, but I've already done testing in this scenario, and I can tell you, essentially, South and North Korea start out at war. South Korea, of course, being rich, and the North being not. But I will tell you, these campaigns modify the amount of troops everybody has from what you would think they would have to more allow a challenge despite more realistic geopolitical situations. So essentially, South and North Korea are fighting. You need to help South Korea win their war against North Korea, and it's pretty much inevitable that China will get involved, seeing as North Korea is already allied with China. This is of course the intro to the campaign. BattleGoat has placed this as being more of a China versus America thing overall. The idea being that you are fighting over the Pacific. This is your war in the Pacific between China and America. We had one with Japan, and now we have one with China. This campaign doesn't give you much time to breathe, as the war starts from the second the campaign starts, not even when the first pop-up explaining the situation starts. So this one might need some pausing as you get started. The first mission here being, of course, return to the 38th parallel, defend South Korea from North Korea, war with China. This text cuts out a little bit. That's interesting. As I'm sure everyone's gonna love playing America, I am curious to see how that goes, as this is probably not the most new player friendly campaign just because of how quickly it starts out. So we're gonna go ahead and quit back to the main menu and take on the last campaign, the Chinese campaign. This one doesn't have a briefing, but I've done my testing to see what this is. According to the devs, this is more of a China taking over Southeast Asia type of campaign. Not necessarily a war in the Pacific one with America, but the focus is about China taking over Southeast Asia and spreading their influence. Now, as you can see, we have quite an interesting starting situation here. We've gone back to like World War II style borders. World War I, World War II, China, World War II, sort of. We have Kyrgyzstan up here, Chinese Kyrgyzstan and Tibet have actually been made independent for this one. And you can see they've set it up quite interestingly. We can see here, Kyrgyzstan starts out allied actually with Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. While the other alliances aren't necessarily set up right now, we know that these countries fall into the influential sphere of Russia in real life. So it'll be quite interesting to see how that looks when the campaign is fully fleshed out and every alliance in the game is in place. Your first goal is to go after Kyrgyzstan, and you see you'll be fighting all these countries. And I've tested this out, and I can tell you that you need to do a lot of building up before you can even get started here. Kind of like the Russia campaign, you can't just jump into war. You have to develop your country, especially with this border that has little to no supply on it. Because this isn't some push over Kyrgyzstan, as we see by their military bar, and I've jumped in and I've tested out warring against them. They start out with the most troops deployed on the entire planet. I went to war with them and was surprised to see that they probably start out, currently anyway, more powerful than almost every country in the planet, maybe only comparable to the top three, America, Russia, and China in this game. Tibet, as we can see, starts out in a similar situation, and they start out allied with India and Nepal. Now, no one else quite fits that bill, just these two for the time being. Don't know if that's going to be changed later. Of course, this is just a play test, but they make it very hard just to reclaim these two things, let alone going any further. So this will be more of a slower pace one, just like the Russia and probably Germany ones, where your goal is pretty much set out before you. So that is the premise currently of the 4 campaigns that Supreme Ruler 2030 will have when it releases. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. If you want to see me cover anything else in Supreme Ruler 2030 leading up to the release, or even on or past the release, please let me know in the comments below what it is you would like to see. For now though, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.